know once you start, there's no going back. This means total commitment. Once you begin the path, there is no leaving the path. Are you sure you're ready for that?
Alright, so let's dive into transcendence. Because this is something that's been like a little thorn in my side the last couple days before I stepped out and made this recording. And it's like a very multifaceted word, but what it means in real time is even more layered. You feel me? So when we talk about transcendence, we're talking about moving beyond something, passing the limitations. That's the Google definition for transcendence. But when we talking about life and we talking about real time, because that's where I like to keep it in the realm of, I like to bring the spirituality down to real life, you feel me? So we go put it under our feet and walk on it. When we talk about transcendence in real life, right? We talking about confrontation, you feel me? We talking about facing something, engaging with it fully. And most importantly, we talk about being genuine with what we engaging with, right? I feel like transcendence and genuity go hand in hand. They synonymous. So you literally can't transcend something until you don't have an agenda, until you're not worried about an outcome or a reward or a reaction or an opinion or anything like that, right? Because the man who seeks a reward is not a free man. You feel me? You're a slave to the reward. You're a slave to the reaction. You're a slave to the likes, the comments, the numbers, the attention, whatever it is. We all have our vices. We all have our things that, you know, are unresolved. And we living in a time right now that confrontation is a must. You feel me? So that's going to always be the underlining energy of anything I say, because we working towards integration. And that's another thing that's synonymous with transcendence. Integration. So if transcendence is to go beyond something, right? Move past it. Integrate it. Like I said, we can't do that if we have a motive. Like, we could move past something, we could get around some shit, you know what I mean? We can have these bullshit conversations with each other, these undertones, saying yes when we really mean no, going left when we really felt that we should have went right. Just being in a space where, and putting ourselves in a space constantly to where we are not building a relationship with our intuition and following our intuition. We living in a time right now that your intuition needs to be your main guide. Your soul needs to be more loud than any influence around you. Because I see, you know, we got social media, we got a lot of outlets and a lot of platforms. So I see people spending their time rehearsing, spending their time getting ready for the next time the camera on them, the next time the microphone on them, the next time their girlfriend or their boyfriend giving them attention, the next time, you know, just from one event to the next event. And what's happening right now on a, not even on a subtle level anymore, what we all experiencing right now, whether we understand it consciously or not, we experiencing confrontation. So what we seeing directly in front of us is a reflection of what we allow, what we unaware of, what we don't want to deal with, and what we want to move beyond, but without the confrontation. We want to get past it. We want to move beyond it. Your soul want to do that because your soul wants to express, but it can't transcend the thing. It can't transcend the thought. It can't transcend the feeling unless you succumb to it, unless you confront it, unless you sit down and make it your friend. Unless you sit down and engage with it, right? Like a scientist, right? A scientist experiments. And a good scientist doesn't come to a conclusion of anything. A good scientist is there for the experience. You feel me? So that's the type of spirituality that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the spirituality to where things are just conceptual. We moving beyond that. We transcending that, because it's not going to serve nobody for one person to, stand up and talk and say a whole bunch of fly fun facts or whatever the case may be and sound smart, yet nobody is able to get a broader perspective or a more expansive perspective on their own life and take something away from the conversation or the discussion that they could apply to their life right here, right now. And even that itself, as me just, stepping out and speaking, it's a certain level of transcending I have to do. It's a certain part of myself that wants to say things a certain type of way, say it the right way. Don't forget this, don't miss out on that. You feel what I'm saying? You don't want to sound dumb, shit like that. A lot of those things still creep in. So I realized, oh shit, I have to confront these things. I have to see why these things still hanging around, why they still bugging me. And no matter what I have to transcend, no matter what you have to transcend, no matter what you have to come into confrontation with, no matter what you have to engage with, right? The common denominator is usually fear. It's usually fear. And fear is like, it's going to sound weird, but fear is like the earth, kind of, right? The earth is always good. It's give us flowers. It's giving us trees. There's so many things coming from within the earth, but they all have different expressions. Kind of, something like the soul. Fear is like that. Deep in the root of it is always fear that's pushing us around, that's pulling us, and with the shit that we running from and the shit that we justifying is all because of fear deep down. But it just shows up, it bubbles up to the surface as us being passive aggressive. Us, and this is the main shit, us acting like we know some shit and we don't know. And that's a responsibility for those of us that stepping out here speaking, those of us that are just being a leader in your own household. It's important that you're vulnerable. That's another part of transcending. To transcend is to be vulnerable. To transcend is to be transparent. To be, just on a fair, even keel and not have no bias, not to yourself, not to your own ego. You have to get past that, right? We gotta get past that kind of shit so we can see the bigger picture, so we can see the lesson. For ourselves first. Not for no kumbaya moment or some time in the future or some time we all gonna come together. Not no shit like that. I'm talking about, just literally being the energy, being the change, right? That's transcending. Just being. That's the hardest thing to do. That's why when we speak of meditation and shit like that, people don't understand what it is. They think it's about doing something. When you talk about spirituality, people don't understand what it is because they think it has to be referenced to actually doing something in physical reality. Not having an understanding is really just sitting with yourself and being and transcending the thoughts, seeing the thoughts, feeling the feelings. And when I say transcend, remember, I mean integrate. So you go into it with no bias. Like I said in the past, you don't have no horse in that race. You just go there to observe and see the things that push on you and pull on you. And a lot of times it's going to look like people pulling and pushing on you, right? But that's just yourself confronting you through other people. So since you can't have a confrontation with yourself, you wind up having confrontations with others. Or you wind up bending and folding to another person's will, another person's perception, another person's way of thinking, whether it's the government, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your place of employment, whatever the case may be. You wind up bending to their will because you haven't come to a place to just confront yourself. And like I said, without having an agenda, just for the experience of it, just to really experience it for what it is, just to experience yourself for what it is. I always tell it, the younger kids coming up, I'll be like, yo, y'all be wanting girlfriends and boyfriends and all that kind of stuff. And I was young, I used to want to do the same thing, but I be trying to tell them, like, fuck with yourself first a little bit. Get to the point you can stomach yourself, you know what I mean? Transcend that. Have a good idea about who you are in real time, like, meaning you've sat with yourself. You've observed all of those weird thoughts that you call weird and all of this shit. You sat back and you fucked with it. You realize that some of the things that's in you that move through you, the world call it bad and fucked up. So now it's really a confrontation. Now it's really a showdown. Because now you worrying about if you're a good person, if you're an acceptable person, if you're evil and shit like that. And because most religious people and just the world at large, just the collective, because we lack the ability to do this, it's not like they teach us this in school, like, yo, self-reflect, yo, do some introspection. The most important thing is your soul and your spirit. That's the last thing that's you don't even hear that kind of shit. So that's another thing that we got to understand, that we got to be able to transcend. Those of us that have the awareness, I'm not talking to everybody. I'm past that. I didn't move beyond that. I didn't transcended that, so to speak. Not trying to talk to everybody. But there are a few of us that are awakening. There are a few of us that are becoming conscious that this life shit deeper than rap. You feel me? It's deeper than that. It's deeper than getting caught up in titles and labels and positions and just being a brother, just being in a relationship. It's a shame, like, people in relationships, they just boyfriend and girlfriend. They not even in marriages for that matter. They not really together. They haven't had the confrontations needed to have within themselves and between each other to become a union. Everybody want to be loved. It's love shit. And I got to, of course, throw myself under the bus because, like, that was my core wound. Like, love. Like, I need love. I can't get enough of it. Anywhere I could get it, where can I get it? Where can I give my sign up to give myself up to so somebody else could do the job of loving me, which is very complicated, by the way. It get complicated once you start confronting yourself for real. It get complicated once you have to integrate this part of yourself that's not so acceptable by the world, you know what I mean? So, like I said, it's a shame, like, that we only experience life in certain facets because we limit ourselves. Mom is just mom. Dad is just dad. We put them on a pedestal and they stay there. Shit like that. That's a lot of our core wounds come from our parents, and it really just be from our perception of them. We give them a lot of our own power that we don't know what to do with yet. And it's gonna always go back to the confrontation. And remember, confrontation is synonymous with transcendence, so it's one and the same, right? So when you like nervous about something, when you like unsure about something, it's alright to be that. It's cool. That's just one side of the spectrum. Nervousness is just the one side of the spectrum, to where the other side is calmness, poise. So, it take you to be nervous sometimes. It take you to be anxious sometimes to really truly understand what calmness and poise is. And for you to be able to embody it holistically, you would have to fuck with anxiety and understand what anxiety is to understand what it is, calmness and poise is. But we only taught duality, so we only fuck with the world. We only fuck with ourselves one way or the other. It got to be black or white. You know what I'm saying? To the point where we literally have manifested. That's been the biggest thing in the world. We're about colors. Who's black? Who's white? Black rights. Black lives matter. All lives matter. They just gonna always have something to keep you in duality, right? So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing about transcendence, right? We living in a time where it's mandatory. Mandatory. Spiritual work is mandatory or die. Like, it's like that. Like, and when I say die, you know what I mean? Or just live as a shell of yourself. And for those of us with awareness, like to have the awareness and still live a small spiritual life, a small life, and a small worldly life is like dying anyway. So when we talk about transcendence, right, we talking about death too. So like real death, like really coming face to face with aspects of yourself that could no longer go on, can no longer live on. But at the same time, not condemning them. You don't condemn them. You don't call them bad. Even that shadow work shit, I don't really rock with the shadow work talk. You know what I mean? A lot of spiritual people be like, yeah, do your shadow work. I don't like y'all, sound bad. Like, it sound like it's wrong. It sound like it's evil. Nah, it's just something that you're unaware of that exists, that could be driving your actions, reactions, responses, decisions, who you choose in a relationship, the people you attract, the jobs you choose, just every fucking thing. You know what I'm saying? Just everything. That's all. It's only that. So since it has that much power, because it's, the unawareness of it especially, it's best that, when you say it's best that you confront that, make friends with that, and try to get an understanding of that before you start condemning it. Because that's the first symptom that we do. We like to call other people out and shit. Myself included. It's so easy to do. It's so easy to say, look at this motherfucker. Look at this chick. And just keep pointing out everybody's blind spots. Meanwhile, your blind spot is growing bigger. So, to keep yourself balanced and just, out of that kind of thing, it's best to assume that you just don't know anything. And that's like the biggest joke that I see. I see us playing grown up, playing husband, wife, playing all these roles and shit. Playing every role but the soul role. Can't say what we mean, man. Can't be who we are. We don't know what that is. And I'm just speaking as a collective. Because the people I'm speaking to, y'all are on the road to more and more integration, more and more confrontation, and more transcendence. You feel me? And I mean, it is an easy way out. So it look like an easy way out because it's always a way to do something, right? They got a stage for your ass. They got social media for you. They got followers. They got all of these drugs that you could take to forget your real job, because it's not easy. It's stank. It's funky. You gotta get your hands dirty. Once you get into this kind of work, you can't be who you thought you was. You gotta be wrong now, and nobody wants to be wrong. That's the whole thing. I realized, like, nobody want to be wrong. Everybody want to be right. Everybody want to be righteous. Nobody want to be evil. Everybody wants to be whatever good is. I don't know. But I'm like, how could you truly be good if you haven't experienced the other side. Like, if you never fucked with that, if you never entertained that, how could you? So even in the event that you are a good person, whatever the fuck that is, you got the biggest blind spots in the world. And here's the thing, this world that we live in is not just all good. Sorry to bust anybody's bubble, it's not all good. And you can turn a blind eye to it and act like it's certain things ain't there, but they're there. Subconsciously, they're there. And consciously, they're there. And the thing about our subconscious mind, it controls 95% of our reality. Whether you know this or not, whether you fuck with it or not, whether you can fathom this shit or not, this is what it is. Like I always talk about the universal laws. They are intact, whether people know them or not. They live by them. So yeah, it's like we play these games because we have a stage. The world is a stage, but they done gave us, little celebrity status now. So everybody chasing an algorithm. Everybody want to figure out the algorithm. So everybody's willing to compromise who and what they are to appeal to a group of people or a certain number or whatever the fuck it is, right? Because it's a lot harder to just come to grips with who you are, accept who you are, regardless of who else says or accepts you or not, whatever the fuck. Whoever could have their own opinion on you. People are so fragile. We sit over here and just try to run around and make sure nobody has just their own opinion on us. We need everybody's opinion to be that we're successful, good, morally right, rich, whatever you're going for, beautiful, and then it don't mean nothing if you don't recognize it. It don't mean nothing if you haven't accepted it. And I've been there, you feel me? That's why I can speak. I didn't allow myself to feel ugly, allow myself to feel worthless and feel like I don't bring no value to the table. Let other people come in and help me out with it. But at the end of the day, like when I turned around, I had to realize, like, and deal with myself and start to confront myself, right? I realized, like, it was just the work only I could do. I realized my mom couldn't do it, my dad can't do it, the people that hurt me, that's not their fault, it's not their job. This is something that I gotta confront. This is something I gotta really actually deal with head on. Not as a man, not as a human, none of that shit. This smut on your name, like it's smut on your soul, you know what I'm saying? And until you transcend it, it really don't matter. You could fool the whole world. You could have the whole world thinking you happy. You could smile in every picture. You could have all the followers in the world. You could have trillions of dollars and still literally be living in poverty because you haven't even glimpsed the value of the soul, which is infinite. Like, it's just even beyond the body we live in, the mind that we use and shit like that, and the heart that we have. And the soul is the end all be all. You could throw this body away, it's more, the soul gonna grab another one if need be. And like I really be looking at people like, they be into certain type of religions and certain type of knowledge, and I'll be happy for them because it's better to be into something like that than to not be into anything, than to just be literally a bot out here, just jumping on every little trend, doing every little dance, looking for every like that you could get. And I found myself at a park the other day, and I was looking at these, just watching, I'll be people watching. So I'm sitting on the swing, and they got grown-up swings at the park. That's funny to me. Like, I don't want no grown-up swing. I want to get on the swing that the kids on, but I was on the grown-up swing, though. Oh, man. I'm trying, like, that's the thing. They always trying to, like, force you to be grown. Like, I'm like, no. Like, I'm going to be forever young. I'm going to always be a kid. I'm going to always relate to the kids, and I'm going to always fucks with the kids, because the kids know the real. The kids know when you're bullshitting. They can see through that shit. That's why I love kids. So when kids embrace you, you know you a righteous motherfucker in your heart, in your soul. And when I say righteous, I don't mean, that right or wrong shit or holy or nothing like that. I just mean they know you got a genuine heart. You got a good spirit. They know you paying attention to them. That's one thing. Kids is to me, kids is the ultimate test. Because kids know when you're not paying attention to them. Kids know when you don't really give a fuck. They know when you just, going through the motions. But yeah, I was in the park on the grown-up swing and shit. And I just see these Jehovah Witness ladies standing out there. And it's hot as hell. Like, it's hot as hell. I'm in the South, so it's hot as hell. It's like 92 degrees outside. I know y'all feeling this heat. It's like it's never been before. That's a whole nother story. Because the planet is heating up. Like, the planet is evolving too. So the people, if you're not, your energy and your DNA is not evolving with it, if you're not confronting yourself and clearing up some of this density out of your thought patterns, out of your emotional body, out of your etheric body, out of your physical body, out of your mental body, all of those bodies, if you're not doing that, then you're not progressing and evolving with the planet. And in some shape or form, you will be rejected to an alternate state to where it's just more density. And you're not light. And your body not all your bodies are not prepared for where we are headed. So that's the whole reason why the transcendence thing is very important, because it's mandatory right now. Like the earth not even waiting no more. The animals not waiting for us no more. And I'm gonna get back to the Jehovah Witness thing, but I want to say this. We look down on, like a lot of people look down on animals, like animals dumb and shit like that. Animals ground the energy first for us. That's why the Lion King was so important. Like, the animals feel the energy that coming on the planet, and they ground it first before we feel it. So they got an important job, you know what I mean? But yeah, back to the Jehovah Witness thing. So yeah, the Jehovah Witness ladies was out there. Like I said, I never knock a religion or no form of knowledge, because that a lot of times that shit could be a stepping stone to a deeper to transcending that surface level knowledge and going deeper. So when I be seeing, I see them out there, they hot as hell, they sweating like everybody else because they fucking human. You know what I mean? But I'm like, damn. It's cool y'all the religious. It's cool y'all into some form of knowledge and shit like that. But it's like y'all so contained within it. Like the religion that y'all in itself contains y'all. And I'm like, y'all sitting right at the table at the buffet with everything right there in the book, but y'all can't see past the surface. So y'all don't realize it's food and shit. Y'all ain't get the forks. Y'all ain't got the napkins. Y'all don't got no good cold beverage with y'all, so y'all could, wash it down. Y'all just sitting at the buffet looking, praising the buffet, telling other people about the buffet when you yourself haven't engaged with the buffet, haven't experienced the buffet, haven't confronted the shit, haven't lifted no food up and smelt it, none of this shit. You just talking about it from the surface level. That's how I look at most people that fuck with religion, but they don't embody it. They don't, when I say that, meaning they don't really investigate and question it enough and see past the surface layer. So they'll follow that one literal story. Like a lot of people that read the Bible or the Quran or whatever, they follow the surface level story, not understanding that these things are symbolic of deeper shit. And all this deeper shit is all correlated to them doing spiritual work. It's correlated to some history and all that, but it's showing you a deeper meaning, right? So it's like just seeing them right there, and I'm just looking at the cage that they in, that they don't know they in, which is beautiful, because we all on some level are in a cage that we can't see. But knowing that you're in a cage that you can't see, you start to look for a way out. You start to turn some doorknobs and shit like that. But if you believe the cage that you are in is like the way to get to heaven or get some reward, remember, the person that seeks the reward is not free. So that's why these ladies standing out here in 90-degree weather, mosquitoes biting them up, and they try and smile through it. And I'm like, y'all human too. And it took everything in me not to go over there and just kind of break their little act, you know. Because when we jump behind these religions and relationships and jobs and so on and so on, all these things we hide behind. So I see them in their disguise. They disguised as just Jehovah's Witness ladies and shit like that. But I'm looking like, yo, this is just a soul. These some souls that don't know no better. And I was just gonna go fuck with them and transcend the bullshit and just break their little act up and just talk to them like regular people, because regular people sweat. I'm like, I ain't hot out here, you know what I'm saying? Y'all good, like, you know. Because like a lot of times those people, they can't talk outside the compounds of just regular life. They always hit you with the, are you saved? Do you believe in this? Or you need to be initiated. I wish the best for you. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And those be, you know, those be the people that project stereotypes on you. So I just said all that just to say, you know, we gotta be careful what we hide behind too. A lot of times people, oh, I'm gonna go. I didn't heard people go, they didn't went and jumped and got married, and they thought that was going to fluff their relationship up, or if they got a bigger house or a bigger car, that was going to give their life more meaning. And it's like what J. Cole said, like, the good news is, nigga, you came a long way. The bad news is, nigga, you went the wrong way. And then he went on to say, think being broke was better. Because either side of the spectrum is like, you can learn from it. And that's the point that we at right now in this transition that we making. We at a point where you have to be able to take both sides of the spectrum, whatever size that is, whatever polarity that is, and you have to be able to engage with it immediately. Meaning removing your conditioning, removing your traumas. And so you can see shit as is. You can deal with it as is. And here's what happens when you deal with something as is, right? When you study something as is, when you fuck with something as is, you start to be able to trace back the origin of that thing. You start to be able to see that thing in its full expansion, even if you only have a small part of it. That's why a lot of times you'll get a scientist, you know, they could just take one drop out the ocean and then they could tell so much things about the ocean out of that one drop. You feel me? Through experimentation, through staying open, removing all of their preconceived notions. So that's the space we in now. We in such a new space that you could trace certain things back to history and shit like that and kind of catch up, but really you're going to have to be able to adapt and adjust in real time. And this is in your physical life, but especially in your spiritual life. Because right now, I kind of thought, more people was waking up. I thought, the pandemic would wake more people up and people would realize that, the things that the government telling them and the things that they heard from certain, just a whole bunch of bullshit. I thought they would ask deeper questions and move into a deeper investigation, right? But that's not the case. And we know majority rules, right? So now we're living in a space where it seems that people just fall deeper and deeper into the propaganda. Like, people just belligerent. Like, life's so crazy right now. Bills are so crazy. Food is cost so much. Gas costs so much. Everything is so crazy. Only thing people could do is just talk about it in concept and just kind of like suffer together. But never entertain a conversation of actually not combating it, but seeing why it's like that. Confronting the shit. Like, what the fuck is actually going on? That's all. So you could at least be like, all right, this is what it is. At least I know what's going on. Because then knowing is doing. But people do it, they do it backwards. So they do a lot of shit to act like they know. And that's like I said, I'm going to say that again. That's the biggest thing we got to transcend, man. Acting like we know. We've been taught to act like we know. We've been taught to dive into a certain amount of information in class and even on Google, whatever you do. Everybody go to YouTube University. You feel me? It's cool. But then to act like, then we pretend we know everything. We pretend we know all. And there's no enlightenment in that. And it's hard to break people out their character. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you yourself, you just gonna have to be that glitch in the matrix. You just gonna have to be that one real one. Like they asked Neo, they could ask him, like, are you the one? Neo kept trying to do it how the world do it. He was fighting Morpheus. Y'all gonna have to go back and watch the first Matrix. He fighting Morpheus. They downloaded all those kung fu moves, all those taekwondo, all that shit. Downloaded all that in his psyche. So he doing all the moves. But Morpheus told him, like, stop trying to hit me, bro, and hit me. Meaning, stop trying to do shit as it's always been done. Stop looking at things through the filter that's given to you. Stop. Move outside the lines. Question the algorithm a little bit. And finally, Neo started to realize, like, okay, I'm going to have to trust myself. How do you trust somebody? You stay around them, right? You chill with them. You watch, make sure their words match their actions. You go through certain things with them, and you start to build a level of trust with them. You know what I'm saying? Especially, those that keep their word, or not to trust them, right? Same thing you gotta do for yourself. Can you trust you? Because I know, like, a large period of my life, I could not trust myself. I never felt deeply like I could really trust myself. You know what I mean? And that's a hellish existence. That's a cheap existence. You can't trust yourself, so you can't trust nobody else. You can't trust the world. You don't feel grounded here. You start to feel like somebody just put you there and it's just one big sick, mean trick and shit. That's how people really be feeling. I'm just just the one that's, one of the ones to say it. Everybody go outside, act like they know what they doing throughout the day, or don't know what the fuck they doing, still doing shit though, just accumulating more circumstances and consequences. You know what I mean? Because every action has an equal and opposite reaction. We all know that. But then we just going, never stopping to confront and transcend and ask, like, yo, what the fuck am I doing? I'm getting pulled here, there. I believe in this. Is this true? I don't know. Like, really just sit the fuck down with yourself the same way you try to get to know somebody else. Do it for you. Because that's what it's going to take, though. And now we getting to a point, it ain't much sitting down you could do. You have to, like, do this shit in real time. You got to be able to watch yourself in conversation with other people. You got to be able to watch yourself, your thoughts. You literally, this is the number one realization the world needs to come to. Like, that they're not their own thoughts. So you could, that's the main thing we need to transcend. Because every thought that come through our mind, we can't just run off and follow it. When you think you are the voice in your head, then you are controlled by the voice in your head. When you realize you're the observer of the voice in your head, then we getting somewhere. And that's the first step to awakening. Then you got to think, oh shit, the thoughts that run through my head have been almost literally placed there by a teacher, a preacher, my dad, my mom. And then subconsciously it go deeper because there's certain things that just been in the background of your life that just run like an undercurrent that become the soundtrack of your life. And you get those moments where you ask yourself, like, hold up, it seems like I'm recreating the same situation again. It seemed like I'm going through the same shit my pops went through, my mom went through, but the people on my block went through. You start to realize like you're repeating history. Hopefully you realize that. So then you can transcend that, step outside of that, and be able to see that for what it is, and finally move in a new direction, a true direction that's driven by the genuine you. But the thing about being genuine is, it just gotta be something that's, given up front. Even, I'm talking about real genuity, meaning, you can't say, I'm going to be a genuine person. You have to actually do checks and balances and inventory and see where your attachments are at. You have to know these things. Or you can never be truly genuine. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. How could you be genuine when you have things that's inside of you that kind of control you, push and pull you, and you have no relationship with them, no dominion over them, no integration? No transcendence about these things. But yet you genuine. So now you would have to go, this the part nobody wants to do. You would have to go question all of your relationships, all of your actions, all of your thoughts, all of your feelings. And this is a tedious job. It's not for everybody. It's for the few of us. That's why I'm not talking to everybody. There's really levels to this shit. There's really dimensions to life, multiple dimensions. So we could sit in the same car and I could be living in 7, 8 other dimensions in the same car while you live in one. You ever been in the car with somebody and they complaining and shit? They complain about every pothole in the street, every crack in the street, every person that's driving by, every person that's walking by. Meanwhile, you over there just looking at the bird. Oh, look at that red bird. Look at that tree growing over there. Look at the grass, some nice grass over there. Oh man, the sun is out, the clouds is puffy. You in another dimension. You're able to see the beauty of nature, the beauty of life. Meanwhile, this person is in a lower state of consciousness, only seeing the so-called negative sides of life, you know. Y'all could go through y'all could have a car accident, or y'all could go through the same experience, right? But y'all gonna go through it in different dimensions. That's why memory is not all that accountable, I think I want to say. Like you can't count on memory all the time. And that's why you have to be all right with motherfuckers not agreeing with you, motherfuckers not liking you. Like I know if certain people that I know personally, if they hear me talking right now, they gonna say, "Shut the fuck up! You don't know what you talk about. Who you think you is? I remember this, that, and the third about you. I remember the day you had this going on." That's how they perceive me in their memory. The truth about it is, I done moved on from that. I done changed and things like that. But I have to be able to live and be able to be okay with the fact that I am a totally different person in other people's mind. And then I got to move on. Now we got to move a step further. So whoever you believe yourself to be is not all that accurate. Because we like to, our ego, we like to build up a persona. First it get built up for us through childhood and shit like that. People constantly suggesting that we do this, saying we shouldn't, who we ought to be. So a lot of times we walking around as who we ought to be, but we not who we truly are. We could go through a whole lifetime and never know who and what we truly are. I done seen people come and go young, 80 years old, 90 years old, and never came to the realization of that, even the fact that they have a soul and a spirit. They just lived an earthly, bodily life. You feel me? An animalistic life, just a primal life, And I ain't taking nothing away from people because, everybody serve a purpose. I do know that. Everybody serve a purpose. But we living in a time right now that you got to be intentional. And intentions always matter, but they've never mattered more than right now. So you got to be the captain of your ship. You got to be able to direct your day, your night. You got to be able to take that time to let your mind recuperate, let your psyche actually relax so it can expand. We won't even take time outs to just let our thoughts just run, let them run wild, let them exhaust themselves. So you can just see the nature of how crazy your mind can be. Just think about it. It's a voice. It play all sides too. And I don't really want to get too much into this because I already kind of spoke on this on something else. But just the nature of our mind is all over the place. So we got to start to be able to identify with the observer more so that we can find that still point, that stillness. And I just damn, it's a shame. A lot of people never come into this and never realize this. And they speak about peace all the time. People fight for peace, die for peace, go to war for peace without ever actually truly experiencing peace. Meanwhile, their whole persona, their whole world is built on being peaceful, talking about being peaceful. That's what I'm saying, though. We got to transcend the conversation. We got to transcend just clicking off the video and then shaking our head, yeah, word, that's facts, bro. You said that, bro, word for real. And then not applying this shit. Because now it's application time. You gotta pick it up and live with it. You gotta pick it up on the drive where you going, and you gotta start to integrate this shit now. You gotta be observing in your conversations, observing in your reaction, observing in your choosing and shit like that, so you can start to see you for who you are. So that your subconscious mind ain't still a verdict out on who the fuck you is, and your own mind is questioning that to a point where your own mind, your own heart, your own body is not a home for your soul. It's chaos there, and that's okay. Because what we here to do is bring the order out of chaos anyway. So if you feeling like you all over the place, if you feeling like your emotions is all over the place, if you feeling like you lost and shit like that, just fuck with it as is. Admit it. And that's how you transcend it. Just being real about it. Just being honest. Best 3 words you might could say is, besides I love you, and that shit is starting to get played out, I'd rather you show me, you know what I mean, that you love me, but in action. Because it is an action word, but I don't know is some of the best words that you could say. I don't know will keep you humble enough to keep you protected. But you gotta have you gotta cultivate a thirst for this shit. And when I say this shit, I mean the truth. Not the surface level truth to where 2 + 2 is 4 in the world. You know, like, not facts. I'm talking about experiencing the truth. Like I said, people have fought for peace. They still think they fighting for peace, but don't know what it is. So even if God came down and gave them peace, they would be wanting to fight for peace. And yeah, just to go back to like what I said earlier, like, man, it's so much people that's camera ready, stage ready. Did so much rehearsing of what they're going to say that you can't even really have a real conversation with them. So this is another thing. You're going to have to be all right with being alone, even if you're around people. And y'all know how it feels to be in a room full of motherfuckers and still feel alone. You feel even more lonely when you're around people that don't vibe with you, don't really understand you. And a lot of times we get, it'd be a lot of people, we might fit their story. They might could fit us in their story. And their story might be driven by the Matrix and all of the nice, fun things that's down here to do and shit, right? But that might not be equivalent and cohesive and corresponding with our purpose on this planet. So we all get lost. That's cool. It's fine. But you start to head home, you start to find where you're from, you start to find where you need to go once you start to admit that you lost. But I'm just here to tell you, you know what I'm saying? You could keep playing around, And this message is me, I'm speaking, but I'm talking to myself every day, all day. Like, anything I say, it has been applied and always being applied on a daily basis. And like I said, we all fall short. Sometimes I like to turn my head to shit. The only thing is, my awareness, won't even really allow that much, because while I'm turning my head to shit, I'm looking at myself like, look at you trying to ignore some shit. And that's the space you really want to get to, where you'd almost laugh at yourself. Like, it's another thing about transcendence. You start to get a better sense of humor, a more healthier sense of humor about life. Everybody too serious. Like, this shit going, like we about to end and win the game or something. Now we all gonna be up out of here. But it's about the work you do that echo into eons and eons and eons and eons and change your lineage and shit like that. You want to leave a legacy on a soul level. I don't need to be no celebrity. I don't need no likes. Like, I'm a superstar to my soul family. I'm a superstar to my ancestors. And then let's like I just want to speak on that too. Fuck it, while I'm talking about ancestors. You're gonna hear a lot of spiritualists talk about the ancestors, and they're gonna be trying to pimp the ancestors. They be talking about, yeah, the ancestors said this is the message for the day, so you should, trying to make it seem like it's some super spiritual ancestors that's giving them a message, so you need to listen to it because they're the only way you're gonna be able to ever hear this message. Like, fuck out of here. Like, that's the same shit they do in church. But me and my ancestors got the same relationship I got with other people. Like, you either get with the shit or not. That's how I fuck with my ancestors. I was like, look, I'm here on earth. If y'all with me, follow suit. But I'm gonna set the tone for the energy. If you got a job to do to help me, you help me the fuck out. I ain't about to be praising nobody. I ain't about to give nobody no credit that they don't deserve and shit like that. And if you anything like me and in my lineage or a part of my soul group in any kind of way, you don't need no validation. You validated by the fact that you here doing the work, period. Feel me? That you getting up every day in this weird ass world and still stepping. And still looking good while doing it and being the most creative person on your whole block and your whole family, being one of the most knowledgeable, wisest person in your whole lineage and shit like that. That's where you at if you on a vibe that I'm on the frequency I'm on. And if you don't really feel like that, then there's just some work to do. That's the space that you headed in. If you dealing with this, if you listening to shit like this, if you into this type of work, because it is work, but it is play at the same time too. It's whatever you make it. And that goes back to my point, like, everybody's so serious. Yeah, I look at what the Joker was trying to tell them, like, why so serious? Like, but when you in the system and you abiding by the system make you feel like it's so serious, like it's life or death, like. But nobody never try to just test life out, test the universe, test God. Walk out on faith. And that's what I love about a religion. Yo, it all points to like one thing, like trust and faith. Because once you fuck with trust and faith, guess what? You got to put the book down. You got to transcend the knowledge. And you got to fuck with it in real time. You got to apply it to your life. And it's times in between where it's going to be no sign in sight to show you that you're on the right path. You just got to trust that feeling within yourself. So, for those of us that, fuck with the books, fuck with studying, that's what's up. Get your shit in. But understand, we need to be embodying these things. We need to be integrating these things and applying them so that they become a part of us. We need to be confronting these things. It's things that I've read in the past. It's things that I said in the past that I go back and be like, yo, I remember saying that. I remember thinking like that. But I see that I've risen to a deeper level within my consciousness where I see that it's deeper than that. Or maybe I wasn't all the way spot on. That was just my way of thinking then. That was my perception then. It's another reason why I say I give a disclaimer on the page. I don't know if y'all read it on YouTube, but I don't indulge in debates, and I don't come up here to say everything I say is law or nothing like that. You discern this shit. You know when somebody talking from the heart, when somebody talking from the gristle. You know when somebody really been in the trenches in the field. You really know. Like, it's in the energy. So I challenge people, confront the energy with me in the message that I'm giving out. But I'm not here to say this is a fact and this is to apply for your life. But it really is simple, though. It's simple, though, yet it's hard to do. It's times like with the children, I don't be wanting to be the one to rain on their parade and tell. I like the kids to play, man. I like the kids to have fun. I never want to be that adult that come rain on your parade. But sometimes sometimes as an adult, you got to manage the energy. So you got to tell the kids it's time to go to sleep. This ain't cohesive for you. I know it's fun, but you're having too much of it. Shit like that. And, that's not a comfortable space for me. Even being a man with kids. Yet and still it must be done, so you got to do it. It's the same thing with the work. Like Lil Wayne said, shit, if I did it, then it had to be done. And that's the type of life you got to live, man. So you have to be able to go through your grievances. And it's going to be a lot of grieving. Let me tell you, like they say, much wisdom, much grief. The more you know, the more you're aware of, the more it kind of is a party pooper for a little while. You know what I'm saying? You start to be aware of more, meaning you're going to be sensitive to more energy, but at the same time, that means you can embody more energy, embody more knowledge, embody more wisdom, embody more creativity, have a wide range of self-expression, and start to understand your purpose and live in it, and carve your own niche out to where you're not doing what everybody else doing. And become a soul superstar. Become the real celebrities. But you know that ain't really here on earth. I ain't saying not get to a bag. I ain't say that. But I'll be damned if you get to a bag and don't get to the soul. Like, don't do that. Don't do that shit, please. It's a lot of people out here, first thing they come out their mouth, I got money. First thing they show you, I got money, look, I did this, that, and the third. They be the dumbest people in the world, don't know how to operate. They ain't passed up out of survival mode. They rich and shit like that, but they still live in a survival type lifestyle. And I'm somebody myself, I'm raised from the trenches in the hood. I love my grandmother dearly, but we was raised to really, the main course was, get by. Survive. So I know how to do that. Now I'm learning how to thrive on the soul level. Thrive in my purpose. Just thrive in being me. But that shit, it sound good, but it come with really just thriving with confronting myself. Thriving with transcending shit. Thriving with experimenting. Thriving with feeling super down one day and super up the next day because you're dealing with energies, and then I just come report it back. I just come report it. That's all. But I be really having to engage with the energies. I be really having to feel this shit to even know it and understand it and really be able to give it up in a real way. You know what I mean? This ain't something I could just think of some concepts and I'm just come outside and just start talking. Like, nah, this shit that I gotta feel. This is a lot of the things that I feel that a lot of people don't want to deal with. Things that I used to go running, grab a vice or something to numb me up or stimulate me to get me away from these energies. We in a space now, you gotta face them head on so you can integrate this shit and move and level up. And I'm seeing a lot of people that fell victim to certain ideas of life, certain ways of living, believing in things like the government, believing in shit that led them astray, man. It's people that's really dying. It's people around me that's really getting sick, really going to the hospital because they lack the awareness and they put all their eggs in one basket and believe in like whatever the doctors or the government or whatever else, whatever the experts say. But the thing about an expert is they supposed to be somebody that been in the field. That's why they call it the medical field. The corporate field, the law enforcement field or whatever. They supposed to be out here experiencing all facets of the field. So a doctor had to once be a patient. A law enforcement officer, I really feel like they all should have been locked up before, but they don't be like that. They just be nerds and shit that just want to lock people up but never been in the cell a day in their life. Like, that don't make no sense to me. But see, that's transcendence. Like, that's too much right there. Cause I'll be damned, you come pick people up, take them out their house for whatever reason the case may be. Like, it be small shit too. You want to throw them in a cell that you never spent 2 seconds in? It's wild to me. But this is the world we live in, so I'm just telling you, like, yeah, it's gonna take some really just. It don't take some just really being really real, man. You're going to get certain modalities and certain practices from certain people that's going to help you along your spiritual path. But at the end of the day, it's just confrontation. That's all. It's just transcendence. And let me just reiterate this again for those of y'all that still listen. It's at a crucial, critical point right now. Like I spoke about in the other podcast, the rapture. It's that time, like. And the good thing about it is the choice is yours, because the work right there in your face, it's right inside of you right now. It's always an aspect of yourself you could work with, you could get to know, you could befriend, you can engage with now. Not in concept, not in just conversation. Literally fuck with it now. So that's the good part about the free will. You can make that choice. And life is literally made. The fabric of life is made. Nature itself is made to accommodate you in that way, so that it's always testing you in the area of life you need to be tested in. It's always rewarding you in the area of life you deserve the rewards in. So that's the good thing about it. And that's what I came here to say, the choice is yours.